boy. She stood in the center of her own living room, wearing the navy dress she'd bought special for tonight, surrounded by 40 people who'd come to celebrate 10 years of marriage. The catering company she'd hired had laid out beautiful food on tables she'd rented. The flowers she'd arranged that morning filled the room with the scent of roses. The champagne she'd paid for sat in ice buckets throughout the house. Everything was perfect because she'd made it perfect, just like she'd made everything perfect for the past decade. Brandon stood across from her, his face twisted in an expression she'd never seen before. Or maybe she had seen it but had trained herself not to notice. His eyes were cold, his mouth curved in something that looked like disgust. Their friend Jerome had just asked Brandon to say a few words about their anniversary, and everyone had raised their glasses, smiling, waiting for the sweet speech that was supposed to come. Instead, Brandon laughed. It was harsh and bitter. "You want to know the truth?" Brandon said, his voice carrying across the suddenly quiet room. "The truth is I'm tired. I'm tired of coming home to this." He waved his hand at Simone like she was trash on the sidewalk. Simone felt her stomach drop. The champagne glass in her hand suddenly felt too heavy. Around her, their guests shifted uncomfortably. Her best friend Nicole took a step forward, but Simone couldn't move. She couldn't breathe. "Brandon, what are you doing?" Simone whispered, but her voice came out too soft. No one heard except the people standing closest to her. "I'm being honest for once," Brandon continued, getting louder. His face was flushed, and she realized he'd been drinking before the party even started. "Everyone here knows it. Everyone sees it. You let yourself go, Simone. You stop trying. You walk around here like you own the place, but look at you." The room was completely silent now. Someone's phone buzzed, and it sounded like thunder. Simone could feel 40 pairs of eyes on her, watching her face, waiting to see what she would do. She wanted to disappear. She wanted the floor to open up and swallow her whole. "I work 60 hours a week," Simone said, finding her voice even though it shook. "I pay for this house. I pay for your car. I pay for everything while I what?" Brandon cut her off, stepping closer. His breath smelled like whiskey. "While I put up with your nagging. While I pretend I'm happy? I'm done pretending, Simone. I'm done with all of it." Nicole moved to Simone's side, putting a hand on her arm, but Simone felt numb. This couldn't be happening. Not here. Not now. Not in front of everyone they knew. "Brandon, you need to stop," Jerome said from somewhere to the left. "Man, you're drunk. You don't mean this." "I mean every word," Brandon said. He looked around the room at all their guests, at their family members, at their co-workers and friends. Then he looked back at Simone with such hatred that she actually took a step back. "You want to know where I've been all those late nights? You want to know where I go when I say I'm at the gym?" "Don't," Simone said. Her heart was pounding so hard she thought she might pass out. "Brandon, please don't do this. I've been with someone who actually takes care of herself. Someone who makes me feel alive. Someone who isn't you." He smiled, and it was cruel. "Her name is Tiffany, and she's half your age and twice as pretty. She doesn't nag me about money. She doesn't ask where I've been. She just makes me happy." The silence that followed was absolute. Simone heard someone gasp. She heard Nicole curse under her breath. She heard the blood rushing in her ears like ocean waves. "Get out," Brandon said, pointing toward the door. "This is supposed to be a party, and you're ruining it with your face. Get out of here. Go upstairs, go to your mother's, I don't care. Just get out of my sight." Simone stood frozen. The champagne glass slipped from her fingers and shattered on the hardwood floor she'd refinished last summer. The sound of breaking glass seemed to break the spell. People started moving, started talking in hushed, urgent voices. Nicole grabbed Simone's arm. "Come on," Nicole said. "We're leaving. Right now." But Simone couldn't move. She stared at Brandon, at this man she'd loved for 12 years, been married to for 10. She'd worked herself nearly to death to give him the life he wanted. She'd paid for his business degree when his startup ideas failed. She'd covered the mortgage when he quit his job to find himself. She'd bought his clothes, his car, his gym membership. She'd done everything, and he just told her to get out of her own house in front of everyone she knew. "Simone, let's go," Nicole said more urgently. Around them, guests were gathering their things. The party was over. Simone could see the pity on their faces, the awkwardness, the second-hand embarrassment. Some people wouldn't meet her eyes. Others stared too much. She saw Brandon's mother trying to talk to him, but he brushed her off and headed toward the kitchen, probably to get another drink. "Okay," Simone finally said. Her voice sounded strange, like it belonged to someone else. "Okay, I'll go." She walked through her living room, past the catered food that would go to waste, past the flowers that would wilt, past the champagne that would go flat. She walked past people who'd known her for years, people who'd just watched her husband destroy her in public. Nicole stayed close beside her, protective and furious. They made it to the front door. Simone's hands shook as she reached for her purse on the entry table. That's when she heard Brandon laugh again from the kitchen, heard him talking to someone on his phone. "Yeah baby, it's done. I told her. Come over in an hour. We'll have the place to ourselves." Something inside Simone shifted. The numbness cracked, and underneath it was something harder. Something colder. Something that had been building for 10 years of being taken for granted. She turned to Nicole. "Take me to your place. I need my laptop and my files from the home office first." "Are you sure you want to go back in there?" Nicole asked. "I'm sure," Simone said. And for the first time that night, her voice didn't shake at all. Nicole's apartment was small but clean, and the couch was more comfortable than Simone expected. She sat with her laptop open, her hands still trembling, but not from sadness anymore. From rage. "I'm making tea," Nicole called from the kitchen. "Or do you want something stronger?" "Tea is fine," Simone said absently. She was already logged into their shared cloud account, the one she'd set up years ago so they could share photos and documents. Brandon had never been good with technology, so she'd always managed their digital life too. Just like she'd managed everything else. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. She knew Brandon's passwords because he'd never bothered to change them. He used the same one for everything, their wedding date followed by his college football number. She told him 100 times it wasn't secure, but he'd never listened. First, she checked their bank accounts. Her personal checking account was fine, she'd always kept that separate, thank God. But their joint account, the one she'd been putting money into every month for household expenses, had only $300 left. She'd deposited $2,000 just last week. Simone pulled up the transaction history. Her stomach turned as she scrolled through the charges. Jewelry purchases from stores she'd never been to. Restaurant bills from places she'd never eaten at. Hotels downtown. A charge for lingerie from an expensive boutique. Charges for a gym membership that cost 3 times what a normal gym would cost. Every single charge was from the past 6 months. Every single charge was Brandon spending her money on his affair. "Here," Nicole said, setting down a mug of chamomile tea beside the laptop. She looked over Simone's shoulder and cursed. "That piece of trash. How much did he spend?" "Over $15,000 in 6 months, Simone said. Her voice was eerily calm. "I've been working overtime, taking on extra projects, missing sleep, and he's been spending my money on another woman." Nicole sat down beside her. "What else are you looking for?" "Everything," Simone said. She opened Brandon's email next. He'd given her access years ago when he needed her to handle some business correspondence, and he'd never thought to revoke it. The first thing she saw made her breath catch. An email from Tiffany. The subject line read, "Can't wait for tonight, baby." Simone clicked it open. The email was from 3 hours before the party. "Brandon, I'm so excited you're finally going to tell her. I can't wait to move into that beautiful house. Did you get me the bracelet I wanted? I saw it in the store window and thought of you. You're so generous, baby. Not like my ex who never bought me anything. I'll make tonight special for you. Wear that cologne I like. Love you, T." "Oh my God," Nicole breathed. She thought she was moving in? Simone scrolled through more emails. There were dozens. Messages about dates, about gifts, about places Brandon had taken Tiffany. Messages where Tiffany complained about her bills and Brandon promised to help her. Messages where Tiffany sent photos that made Simone slam the laptop shut for a moment. "I need a minute," Simone said. "Take all the time you need," Nicole said gently. "You don't have to look at any more of this tonight." But Simone opened the laptop again. She needed to see it all. She needed to know exactly what she was dealing with. She found text messages next, backed up to the cloud. Thousands of them between Brandon and Tiffany. She scrolled back to find the first ones, trying to figure out when this had started. 9 months ago. They'd met at the gym just like Brandon had said. Tiffany worked at the juice bar there. She was 26 years old, 14 years younger than Simone. In the first messages, Brandon had been flirty but careful. Then he'd gotten bolder. Then he'd asked her out. Simone read through their conversation from that first date. Brandon had told Tiffany he was basically divorced already, that he and Simone were just roommates, that they hadn't been intimate in years. All lies. 9 months ago was when Brandon had suddenly wanted to go on that weekend trip together, just the two of them. Simone had been so happy, thinking he wanted to reconnect. She'd taken time off work, spent money on a nice hotel. They'd had a wonderful time, or so she'd thought. But now, reading these messages, she saw that the very next week, Brandon had taken Tiffany to the same place and told her it was their first romantic getaway. Simone felt sick. She kept reading. The messages got worse. Brandon complained about Simone constantly. He called her boring. He said she'd gotten fat, even though Simone knew she wore the same size she'd worn for years. He said she was always working, always tired, always stressed. He never mentioned that she was working to support both of them. He never mentioned that he hadn't had a real job in 3 years. "This man is trash," Nicole said, reading over her shoulder. "Absolute trash. I never liked him, Simone. I'm sorry, but I never did." He always had that look in his eyes, like everyone else was put on earth to serve him. Simone knew Nicole was right. She just refused to see it. She found the most recent messages between Brandon and Tiffany. They were from earlier today before the party. "Brandon, tonight's the night. I'm telling her it's over. Tiffany, finally. I'm tired of hiding. I want to post photos of us together. I want everyone to know you're mine. Brandon, you will soon, baby. Just give me a few hours. This will be messy. Tiffany, will she cry? I kind of hope she doesn't make a scene. Brandon, who cares? After tonight, she's out of my life forever. Tiffany, what about the house? Brandon, what about it? It's in both our names. She'll have to buy me out or sell. Either way, I get paid." Simone stopped reading. Her hands had curled into fists. The house was not in both their names. The house was in her name only. She'd bought it 3 years ago with her own down payment, using only her credit because Brandon's credit was destroyed from his failed business ventures. He'd never contributed a single mortgage payment. The car he drove? In her name. Paid for with her money. The credit cards he'd been using? All of them were hers. She'd added him as an authorized user because he'd begged her to, promising he'd only use them for emergencies. Everything was hers. And Brandon had no idea. Simone opened a new browser tab and logged into her credit card accounts. She had 3 cards and Brandon had access to all of them. The balances made her want to scream. He'd maxed out 2 of them. The charges were all recent: jewelry, dinners, hotels, shopping sprees. He'd spent over $30,000 in the past 9 months. On his affair. Using her money. While she worked 12-hour days. "I'm going to destroy him," Simone said quietly. Nicole looked at her. "What's the plan?" Simone pulled up a notepad and started typing. Her mind was clear now, sharp in a way it hadn't been in years. She'd spent a decade being soft, being understanding, being patient. She'd bent over backward to make Brandon happy. She'd ignored red flags and swallowed complaints. She'd been a good wife. And he'd thrown her away like garbage in front of everyone she knew. "First," Simone said, "I'm canceling every credit card. Tonight. Right now. Then I'm removing him from the car insurance. Then I'm calling the bank and taking him off the joint account. I'm changing every password to every account. I'm cutting off his phone, it's on my family plan. I'm canceling the subscription services he uses. All of it. Every single thing I pay for is getting cut off by morning." Nicole brought 2 mugs and sat down beside her. "So what's the move today?" "Lawyers," Simone said, taking a sip of the hot coffee. It was strong and bitter, exactly what she needed. "I need the best divorce lawyer in the city. Someone who will fight for me. My cousin got divorced last year," Nicole said. "She used this lawyer, Teresa Hammond. Said the woman was ruthless. Didn't let her ex get away with anything." Simone pulled out her phone and searched for the name. Teresa Hammond had her own practice downtown. Her website showed a professional woman with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense expression. The reviews were glowing. "Saved my life. Got me everything I deserved. Don't go into a divorce without her." "Can you call her?" Simone asked. "See if she can see me today? On a Sunday? I'll pay extra. I need to move fast. Before Brandon figures out what I'm doing." Nicole made the call. Somehow, between the urgency in her voice and the mention of her cousin's name, she got Simone an appointment for 2 o'clock that afternoon. "She's meeting you at her office," Nicole said. She said she's intrigued. Simone spent the morning documenting everything. She downloaded all the emails from Brandon's account. She took screenshots of every text message between him and Tiffany. She printed out bank statements and credit card bills. She made a spreadsheet showing every dollar Brandon had spent in the past year and every dollar she'd earned. The difference was staggering. She'd brought in over $120,000 in salary and bonuses. Brandon had earned $5,000 from a short consulting gig 6 months ago. That was it. And he'd spent over $50,000 of her money in the same time period. At 1 o'clock, Simone borrowed clothes from Nicole, jeans and a sweater that were a little too big but clean and comfortable. She pulled her hair back into a neat ponytail and put on the minimal makeup she'd had in her purse. She looked tired, but she looked determined. "You want me to come with you?" Nicole offered. "No, I need to do this alone. But thank you for everything. For last night, for today, for being my friend." Nicole hugged her tight. That man never deserved you. Not for one single day. The law office was in a high-rise downtown. Teresa Hammond met Simone in a conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. She was in her 50s, with silver hair cut in a sharp bob and eyes that missed nothing. "Tell me everything," Teresa said, sitting down with a legal pad. "And don't leave anything out." Simone talked for over an hour. She told Teresa about the party, about the humiliation, about finding the emails and texts. She showed Teresa all the documentation she'd prepared. She explained the financial situation, how everything was in her name, how Brandon had contributed almost nothing in years, how he'd been spending her money on his affair. Teresa listened without interrupting. She took notes. Her expression never changed, but Simone saw her jaw tighten when she heard about the public humiliation. She saw Teresa's eyes narrow when she looked at the credit card bills. When Simone finally finished, Teresa set down her pen. "You have an excellent case," she said. "More than excellent. This is about as clear-cut as they come. The house is yours. The car is yours. He has no claim to any of it. The credit card debt he racked up, we can argue that it was fraudulent spending since it was all for an extramarital affair. Can I really get out of that debt?" Simone asked. "We can try. The credit card companies will fight it, but we have a good argument. He was an authorized user who made purchases without your knowledge or consent for purposes that didn't benefit the marriage. It's worth pursuing." Simone felt hope stir in her chest. "What about the divorce itself?" "We file immediately. Tomorrow morning. I'll have the papers drawn up tonight. In this state, we can file on grounds of adultery, which you've clearly documented. That puts you in a strong position. You won't get alimony. You won't get a share of your retirement accounts or savings. The house stays yours. The car stays yours. Will it be fast? That depends on whether he fights it. If he's smart, he'll sign the papers and walk away. If he's stupid, he'll drag it out and end up with even less. Either way, you're going to be fine." Teresa leaned forward. "But I need to know something, Simone. What do you want out of this? Some clients want to punish their ex. Some just want to move on. Some want both. Tell me what you need." Simone thought about it. Last night, she'd wanted to make Brandon suffer. She'd wanted him to hurt the way she hurt. But now, in the clear light of day, she realized something simpler. "I want him out of my life," she said. "I want the divorce final. I want my money back if I can get it. And I want him to know that he lost everything because of his own choices. I don't want revenge. I just want justice. I want what's fair." "Fair," Teresa repeated, and she smiled for the first time. "Fair is going to hurt him plenty. Trust me on that." They spent another hour going over details. Teresa explained the divorce process, the timeline, the likely outcomes. She talked about court dates and discovery and depositions. She discussed her fees, which were expensive but reasonable given her reputation. Simone agreed to everything. She signed the retainer agreement and wrote a check. They shook hands. "One more thing," Teresa said as Simone was leaving. "Change all your passwords. Get a P.O. box for your mail. Check your credit report to make sure he hasn't opened any accounts in your name. And don't talk to him. Not a word. Everything goes through me now." "He doesn't know where I'm staying," Simone said. "Good. Keep it that way for now. Let him sweat." Simone left the law office feeling stronger than she had in years. She had a plan. She had representation. She had evidence. And she had the truth on her side. Her phone buzzed with another call from an unknown number. She let it go to voicemail. A minute later, the voicemail notification appeared. Against her better judgment, she listened to it. It was Brandon. His voice was tight with barely controlled anger. "Simone, I don't know what game you're playing, but you need to stop. You canceled my credit cards? You took me off the car insurance? My phone doesn't even work. This is childish. We need to talk about this like adults. Call me back from whatever number you're using. We can figure this out." Simone deleted the voicemail. There was nothing to figure out. She'd already figured it all out last night while he was probably celebrating with Tiffany in what he thought was his house. She drove to a big box store and bought a few necessities, underwear, toiletries, some basic clothes. She couldn't stay with Nicole forever, but she needed a few days to figure out her next move. Maybe a short-term rental. Maybe a hotel. Somewhere Brandon couldn't find her. As she loaded her shopping bags into Nicole's car, she'd borrowed it for the afternoon, her phone rang again. This time it was a number she recognized. Brandon's mother. Simone answered. "Hello, Mrs. Turner." "Simone, sweetheart, what's going on?" "Brandon called me this morning in a panic. He says you've lost your mind. He says you've cut him off from everything." "Did he tell you what he did last night?" Simone asked calmly. There was a pause. "He said you two had a fight at the party?" "He told me to get out of my own house in front of 40 people. He announced that he's been having an affair for 9 months. He said I was boring and fat and that his girlfriend was prettier than me." "That's what he did, Mrs. Turner?" The silence on the other end of the line was long. When Brandon's mother spoke again, her voice was different. Softer. Said, "Oh, Simone. I'm so sorry. I raised him better than that. I thought I did anyway. He spent over $50,000 of my money on his affair. $30,000 on credit cards alone. Hotels, jewelry, restaurants. All my money. While I was working 12-hour days to keep us afloat." Mrs. Turner made a sound like she was crying. "That boy. That stupid boy. I filed for divorce today," Simone said. "I'm not taking him back. I'm not forgiving him. I'm not talking to him. It's over." "I understand," Mrs. Turner said. "I wouldn't take him back either. You deserve so much better. You always did. I just wish I'd said that to you years ago." They talked for a few more minutes. Mrs. Turner apologized repeatedly. She offered to help in any way she could. She told Simone she'd always thought of her as a daughter. When they hung up, Simone felt a bittersweet ache. She was losing Brandon's family too, the people who'd become her family over the years. But at least some of them understood. She drove back to Nicole's apartment and unloaded her purchases. Nicole was cooking dinner, pasta with vegetables, nothing fancy but it smelled wonderful. "How'd it go?" Nicole asked. "Good. Really good. The lawyer is filing tomorrow. I should be officially separated by the end of the week." "And then what?" Simone sat down at the small kitchen table. "Then I figure out what my life looks like without him in it. I find a place to live. I focus on my job. I start over." "You could stay here as long as you need," Nicole offered. "I know and I appreciate it. But I need my own space. I need to prove to myself that I can do this alone." Nicole served up 2 plates of pasta and sat down across from Simone. "You've been doing it alone for years. You just had a leech attached to you the whole time. Now you're free." Simone twirled pasta on her fork and realized Nicole was right. She'd been alone in her marriage for a long time. Brandon had been there physically, but he'd never been a true partner. He'd never supported her dreams or shared her burdens. He'd just taken and taken until there was nothing left to take. Now he'd have to figure out how to survive without her. And Simone had a feeling he was going to find it very, very difficult. Her phone buzzed with yet another call from an unknown number. She silenced it. Let him call. Let him panic. Let him realize what he'd lost. Simone ate her dinner and made plans for her future. A future that, for the first time in a decade, was entirely her own. By Monday morning, Brandon's world was falling apart, though Simone wouldn't learn the details until later. She spent the day at work, focusing on the marketing campaign she'd been developing for their biggest client. Her boss, Patricia, called her into the office first thing. "Simone, I heard about what happened at your party. I'm so sorry." Simone's stomach dropped. Of course people knew. 40 guests had witnessed her humiliation. It would be all over social media, all through their social circles. "I appreciate that," Simone said carefully. "I want you to know that we support you. If you need time off, we can arrange that. If you need to adjust your schedule, we can make it work. You're one of our best people and we want to make sure you have what you need." The kindness in Patricia's voice almost made Simone cry, but she held it together. "Thank you. Honestly, I think staying busy is better for me right now. Work is the one place where I feel in control." "I understand. But the offer stands. And Simone, don't let this derail you. You've been on track for senior director. This divorce doesn't change that." Simone left the office feeling lighter. She'd been worried that her personal life would damage her professional reputation, but Patricia's words gave her hope. She could do this. She could keep her career on track while handling the divorce. Her phone buzzed with a text from Teresa. "Divorce papers filed. Process server going to your house at noon. Let me know if you want to be present." Simone texted back. "I want to be there." She took a late lunch and drove to her house. Her house, not their house anymore. She parked down the street where Brandon wouldn't see her car. At exactly noon, a woman in business clothes walked up to the front door with a manila envelope. Simone watched from her car as the woman knocked. No answer. She knocked again. On the third knock, Brandon finally opened the door. He was still in his pajamas even though it was the middle of the day. He looked rough, unshaven, tired, angry. The process server said something. Brandon tried to close the door, but she was faster. She held out the envelope. He refused to take it, so she dropped it at his feet on the doorstep. That was legal service in their state. Whether he picked it up or not, he'd been served. The process server walked back to her car. Brandon stood there staring at the envelope like it might explode. Finally, he bent down and picked it up. He tore it open right there on the doorstep. Simone saw the exact moment he read the first page. His whole body went rigid. He looked around wildly as if searching for someone to blame. Then he pulled out his phone, probably trying to call her again on someone else's phone, and started shouting. Simone allowed herself a small smile and drove back to work. By the end of the day, her phone was full of voicemails. She listened to them one by one. The first was from Brandon, using a coworker's phone. "You filed for divorce? Are you serious right now? You can't just throw away 10 years because of one mistake. Call me. We need to talk about this. Delete." The second was also Brandon, this time from a number she didn't recognize. "My car got towed today. Did you have something to do with that? The tow company said there was no insurance on it. This is insane, Simone. You're acting crazy. Delete." The third was from Tiffany. Her voice was shrill and upset. "I don't know what you told Brandon, but he's freaking out. He says you're trying to take everything from him. That's not fair. He deserves half of what you have together. If you were a better wife, none of this would have happened. You need to grow up and accept that he loves me now. Delete." The fourth was Brandon again, and this time his voice was different. Desperate. "Simone, please. I'm sorry. I was drunk. I didn't mean what I said at the party. I was just angry and stressed. We can work this out. Just call me back. Don't do this. Please." Delete. Simone felt nothing listening to his voice. The man who'd told her to get out, who'd humiliated her in front of everyone, who'd spent 9 months lying to her face, that man was now begging. But it was too late. She called Teresa. "He's been served." "Good. Now the clock starts. He has 30 days to respond. My guess is he'll try to contact you directly. Don't engage. Let him freak out. He already is. He left 4 voicemails today. Ignore them all. Save them but don't respond. If he shows up at your work or wherever you're staying, call the police. We can get a restraining order if needed." That night, Simone lay in Nicole's guest room. Nicole had insisted she take the actual bedroom, and thought about the past 10 years. She'd met Brandon when she was 27. He'd been charming, funny, full of big dreams. She'd fallen hard and fast. They'd gotten married within a year. For the first few years, things had been good. Or she'd thought they were good. Looking back now, she could see the patterns. Brandon had always been the center of attention. His needs, his dreams, his problems. Simone had been the support system, the cheerleader, the problem solver. When had it changed? Or had it always been that way and she'd just been too in love to notice? She fell asleep thinking about the future instead of the past. About the life she wanted to build. About the person she wanted to become. Tuesday morning, Simone went to a storage facility and rented a unit. Then she drove to her house with Nicole and a locksmith. She texted Brandon from a temporary phone number that morning. "I'm coming to get my things today at 10. Don't be there." When they arrived, Brandon's car was gone. Good. Simone unlocked the door and stepped inside her own house for the first time since Saturday night. The place was a mess. Empty takeout containers covered the kitchen counter. Beer bottles lined the coffee table. The living room still showed signs of the party. A broken champagne glass in the corner that no one had bothered to clean up, wilted flowers drooping in their vases. "He's living like a pig," Nicole muttered. They worked quickly. Simone packed her clothes, her personal items, her important documents. She took family photos, her grandmother's jewelry, books she'd collected over the years. She took her work files from the home office. She left everything that was Brandon's or that they'd bought together. The locksmith changed the locks on all the doors while they worked. Simone paid him in cash and kept all 3 new keys. By noon, they'd loaded everything into a U-Haul truck. Simone walked through the empty house one last time. This was her house, the one she'd bought with her own money, but it didn't feel like home anymore. Too many bad memories haunted these rooms now. She left an envelope on the kitchen counter with a note inside. "The locks are changed. The house is mine. Don't come back here. All communication goes through my lawyer." They drove the U-Haul to the storage unit and unloaded everything. Simone kept one suitcase of essentials and left the rest locked away. She'd figure out where she was living permanently later. For now, this was enough. Her phone rang as they were finishing up. An unknown number, but she was expecting this call. She answered. "Is this Simone Turner?" a professional voice asked. "Yes. This is Detective Mills with the police department. I'm calling about a report filed by Brandon Turner. He's claiming you've stolen his vehicle and locked him out of his home. Is that accurate?" Simone's heart pounded, but she kept her voice steady. "The vehicle is registered in my name. I own it. The home is also registered in my name. I own it. My husband and I are divorcing. I have documentation for everything. Can you send me that documentation?" "Of course. I'll have my lawyer send it over within the hour." "That would be helpful." Mr. Turner seemed very upset, "But if what you're saying is true, this is a civil matter, not a criminal one." "It's true. And detective? My husband was having an affair. He's been spending my money without my knowledge. I have evidence of all of it if you need to see it." There was a pause. "That won't be necessary for our purposes. I'll wait for the documentation from your lawyer. Thank you for your cooperation." When she hung up, Nicole was staring at her. "He called the cops on you?" "Of course he did. He has nothing left. No car, no house, no money, no credit cards. He's panicking." Simone called Teresa and explained about the police. Teresa laughed, actually laughed. "He's an idiot. I'll send over the vehicle registration and property deed right now. The police will see he has no case. This is just harassment. We can use it in court if he keeps it up." By Wednesday, things escalated. Brandon found out where Simone worked. He showed up in the lobby at 3 in the afternoon, demanding to see her. Security called Simone's office and she came down with Patricia. Brandon looked terrible. He'd lost weight in just 4 days and his clothes were wrinkled. His eyes were wild. "Simone, you have to stop this," he said, his voice carrying across the lobby. Other people were staring. "I have nothing. No money, no car, nowhere to live. You're destroying me." "You destroyed yourself," Simone said calmly. "You need to leave. We're married. You can't just cut me off. We're getting divorced. I can do whatever I want with my own money and my own property. Now leave or I'll have security escort you out. This is because of Tiffany, isn't it? You're jealous." Simone felt rage bubble up but kept her voice level. "This is because you humiliated me in front of everyone I know. Because you stole from me. Because you lied to me for 9 months. Because you told me to get out of my own house. I'm not jealous, Brandon. I'm done." "Sir, you need to leave," the security guard said, stepping forward. Brandon looked at Simone with something like hatred in his eyes. "You're going to regret this. I'll take you for everything you have. That house is half mine. That car is half mine. You owe me for 10 years of marriage." "Talk to my lawyer," Simone said and turned and walked back to the elevator. She heard Brandon shouting behind her, heard security telling him to leave, but she didn't look back. Her hands shook as she pressed the button for her floor, but she'd done it. She'd faced him and held her ground. Patricia rode up with her. "You okay?" "I'm better than okay," Simone said. "I'm free." That evening, Teresa called with an update. Brandon hired a lawyer. Guy named Frank Peterson. "He's cheap and not very good, which tells me Brandon can't afford anyone better." "What did Peterson say?" "He sent over a list of demands. Brandon wants spousal support. He wants half the house. He wants half your retirement account. He wants you to pay his credit card debts. It's all nonsense, but it's his opening position. Can he get any of that?" "Not a chance. But it means this is going to trial. He's not going to settle reasonably." "How long will that take?" 4 to 6 months probably. Maybe longer if he keeps filing motions." "I'm sorry, Simone. I know you wanted this over quickly." Simone sighed. "It's fine. I can wait. As long as I get what's fair in the end." "You will. I promise you that." After hanging up, Simone sat in Nicole's apartment and thought about Brandon's demands. He wanted her to pay for his credit card debts? The debts he'd racked up on his affair? The audacity was stunning. But she wasn't surprised. Brandon had always believed the world owed him something. He'd believed that his dreams and desires mattered more than anyone else's. He'd believed that Simone would always be there to catch him when he fell. Well, not anymore. He was falling, and this time there was no safety net. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Another one of Brandon's borrowed phones, probably. "Tiffany left me. She said she didn't sign up for this. She wants a man who can take care of her. I have nothing because of you." Simone read the text twice and then deleted it without responding. Tiffany had left him. Of course she had. She'd been interested in Brandon's lifestyle, not Brandon himself. Once the money dried up, so did her interest. It was almost funny. Almost. Simone blocked the number and went to bed. Tomorrow was Thursday and she had a big presentation for the marketing campaign. She needed rest. She needed to focus on her work, her future, her life. Brandon and his problems were no longer her concern. 3 weeks after the divorce was filed, Simone moved into her own apartment. It was smaller than the house, but it was in a better neighborhood with huge windows and natural light everywhere. She signed a year lease and spent the weekend moving her things from storage. Nicole helped, bringing takeout food and making jokes about Simone's terrible taste in throw pillows. They hung curtains, assembled furniture, and organized the kitchen. By Sunday evening, the apartment felt like home in a way the house never really had. "This place is perfect for you," Nicole said, collapsing on the new couch. "It's got your energy. Fresh and clean." Simone looked around. Nicole was right. The apartment was hers alone, decorated how she wanted, organized how she liked. No one to criticize her choices. No one to make messes she'd have to clean up. No one to drain her bank account or her energy. "I can breathe here," Simone said. Work was going well too. The marketing campaign she'd been developing launched on Monday, and the client loved it. Patricia called Simone into her office on Tuesday with good news. Corporate approved the promotion. "You're officially Senior Director of Marketing, effective immediately. That comes with a 25% raise and a corner office on the 8th floor." Simone felt tears prick her eyes. "Thank you. This means everything to me. You earned it. You've been doing director-level work for 2 years now. It's about time we made it official." Patricia paused. "How are you doing? With everything else?" "Better every day," Simone said honestly. "I'm in my own place now. The divorce is moving forward. I'm actually happy." "Good. You deserve to be happy." The corner office had windows on 2 walls and enough space for a proper desk, a meeting table, and a sitting area. Simone spent Wednesday moving in, arranging her books, hanging her diplomas. When she was finished, she stood in the center of the room and felt pride swell in her chest. She'd done this. She'd earned this. Not Brandon, not anyone else. Just her. Her phone buzzed with a text from Teresa. "Court date set for preliminary hearing. 6 weeks from now. Brandon's lawyer is still pushing for spousal support. Don't worry, it won't happen." Simone texted back a thumbs up. She'd stopped worrying about Brandon weeks ago. He tried to contact her a dozen more times, through friends, through social media, through random phone numbers. She'd blocked everything. As far as she was concerned, Brandon Turner was a stranger now. She heard through the grapevine, Nicole's sister's friend who knew someone in Brandon's circle, that he'd moved into a studio apartment in a bad part of town. He'd gotten a job at a retail store, something entry-level that paid minimum wage. Tiffany was dating someone else, a guy with money who could afford her expensive tastes. Simone felt nothing hearing this news. No satisfaction, no pity, nothing. Brandon's life was no longer her problem. On Thursday evening, Simone did something she hadn't done in years. She went out with coworkers. Patricia had invited her to happy hour, and instead of making excuses about needing to get home, Simone said yes. The bar was crowded and loud, full of people from their building. Simone ordered a glass of wine and joined the conversation. It felt strange at first, being social without worrying about getting home to Brandon. But after a while it felt natural. Easy. She talked and laughed with her coworkers. She stayed until 9 o'clock, which was late for her. When she finally left, she felt energized instead of drained. Friday afternoon, Simone got an email from her credit card company. After 3 weeks of negotiations, they'd agreed to reverse half of the charges Brandon had made, $15,000. The other half she'd still be responsible for, but it was better than nothing. And her lawyer was working on getting that amount included in the divorce settlement so Brandon would have to pay it back eventually. That weekend, Simone treated herself. She went shopping and bought new clothes, not because she needed them but because she wanted them. She got her hair done at an expensive salon, got highlights and a trim that made her feel beautiful. She went to a bookstore and bought 6 novels she'd been wanting to read. She felt guilty at first, spending money on herself. Then she remembered, this was her money. She'd earned it. She could spend it however she wanted. Sunday morning, Simone woke up in her own apartment, made coffee in her own kitchen, and sat by her window watching the city wake up. She pulled out her phone and looked at her bank account. The balance was healthy, healthier than it had been in years actually, because she wasn't supporting 2 people anymore. She opened a new savings account and set up an automatic transfer. 10% of every paycheck would go straight into savings. She was going to build an emergency fund, a vacation fund, a future fund. For the first time in a decade, Simone was living for herself. Monday brought another surprise. Her friend Jerome, one of the people who'd been at the anniversary party, texted her. "Hey Simone. I know things are weird, but I want you to know that what Brandon did was wrong. A lot of us have been talking and we all think you handled it with a lot of class. If you ever want to grab coffee and talk, I'm here." Simone was touched. She'd assumed that their mutual friends would side with Brandon or just stay out of it. But several people reached out that week with similar messages. They'd seen what happened. They knew who was in the wrong. It helped, knowing she had people on her side. By the end of the month, Simone had settled into her new routine. Work in the morning, gym 3 times a week. She'd started working out again, not to lose weight but because it felt good to be strong. Dinner with friends on weekends. Reading before bed. Simple things that made her happy. She hadn't dated anyone. The thought of trusting someone new felt impossible right now. But she was okay with that. She was learning to enjoy her own company. One Thursday evening in late October, Simone stayed late at the office to finish a proposal. Around 7 she headed down to the lobby. The building was mostly empty, just security and a few late workers like her. As she walked toward the exit, she saw a man struggling with a large portfolio case and a bag of what looked like building materials. He was trying to hold the door open with his foot while juggling everything else. Without thinking, Simone hurried over and held the door. "Here, let me help." "Thank you so much," the man said, relief clear in his voice. He was tall, with warm brown skin and kind eyes. He wore business casual clothes with paint stains on one sleeve. "I'm usually more coordinated than this." "We all have those days," Simone said with a smile. They walked out together. He loaded his things into a car parked nearby, then turned back to her. "I'm Gabriel," he said, extending his hand. "I'm an architect. I was just presenting some designs to a firm upstairs." "Simone. I work in marketing on the 8th floor." "Well, Simone from marketing, you saved me from dropping about 3 hours of work on the sidewalk. Can I buy you a coffee as a thank you? There's a place across the street." Simone hesitated. She wasn't ready for dating. But coffee wasn't a date. Coffee was just coffee. "Sure," she said. "Why not?" They walked to the coffee shop, a cozy place with exposed brick and mismatched furniture. Gabriel ordered a black coffee. Simone got a latte. They sat by the window. "So what kind of architecture do you do?" Simone asked. "Mostly residential. Some commercial. I like designing spaces that feel like home, you know? Places where people can actually live, not just exist." They talked easily. Gabriel was funny and thoughtful. He asked questions and actually listened to the answers. He told stories about difficult clients and buildings that fought back. Simone found herself laughing more than she had in weeks. An hour passed like minutes. "I should let you go," Gabriel said eventually. "But this was really nice. Would it be too forward to ask for your number? Maybe we could do this again sometime?" Simone felt a flutter of nervousness, but also interest. Real interest. "Okay," she said and gave him her number. They said goodnight outside the coffee shop. Simone drove home feeling lighter than air. It wasn't attraction exactly, well maybe it was a little bit. But more than that, it was possibility. The possibility that maybe she could trust someone again someday. Maybe she could let someone new into her life. When she got home, she texted Nicole. "I met someone. Just for coffee. But he seemed nice." Nicole's response came immediately. "Tell me everything." Simone laughed and called her, recounting the whole evening while Nicole made excited noises on the other end of the line. "You're glowing," Nicole said. "I can hear it in your voice. You're actually happy." "I am," Simone realized. "I really am." That night, as she got ready for bed, Simone caught her reflection in the bathroom mirror. She looked different. Not younger or thinner or any of the things Brandon had said she should be. Just lighter. Free. She thought about where she'd been a month ago, devastated, humiliated, lost. And where she was now, promoted, living alone, learning to be happy again. The divorce wasn't final yet. Brandon was still fighting for money he hadn't earned. But none of that mattered right now. What mattered was that Simone had taken her life back. And she was just getting started. Gabriel texted 2 days later. "Hey Simone, I've been thinking about our coffee conversation. There's an art exhibit opening downtown Saturday evening. Would you want to check it out with me?" Simone stared at the message for a full minute. It had been so long since someone had asked her out to something cultural, something thoughtful. Brandon had always preferred sports bars and action movies. She texted back, "That sounds great. What time?" They met outside the gallery at 6. Gabriel wore dark jeans and a button-down shirt, looking put together without trying too hard. He smiled when he saw her, and Simone felt that flutter again, interest mixed with nerves. "You look beautiful," he said simply, and it didn't sound like a line. It sounded genuine. The exhibit was stunning. Local artists showcasing work about urban renewal and community. Gabriel knew a lot about architecture and design, and he explained the technical aspects of some pieces in a way that made them even more interesting. "See how the artist used negative space here?" Gabriel pointed to a large canvas. "It's the same principle we use in building design. Sometimes what you don't include is just as important as what you do." Simone found herself genuinely fascinated. She asked questions. Gabriel answered enthusiastically, never talking down to her or making her feel stupid for not knowing something. After the gallery, they walked to a nearby restaurant. Over dinner, they talked about everything: their jobs, their families, their dreams. Gabriel had grown up in the city, studied architecture in college, started his own firm 5 years ago. He'd been engaged once, but it ended when his fiancée took a job across the country and expected him to drop everything and follow. "I couldn't do it," Gabriel said. "I just started my business. I had clients, projects, a life here." She said if I really loved her, I'd choose her over my career. But it wasn't about choosing. It was about asking me to give up everything I'd built while she wasn't willing to compromise at all. "That must have hurt," Simone said. "It did. But looking back, I dodged a problem. If she loved me, she wouldn't have made me choose. Real love doesn't work like that." Simone thought about Brandon. He'd never supported her career. He'd complained when she worked late, made snide comments about her being a workaholic, acted like her success was somehow a personal attack on him. "You're right," she said. "Real love should make you better, not smaller." Gabriel studied her face. "Someone made you feel small?" Simone hesitated, then decided on honesty. "I'm going through a divorce. My husband, he wasn't a good person. Not to me anyway." "I'm sorry you went through that. Do you want to talk about it?" "Not really. Not tonight. Tonight I just want to enjoy good conversation with someone who seems kind." Gabriel smiled. "I can do that. And for the record, anyone who made you feel less than amazing was a fool." They stayed at the restaurant until closing, talking and laughing. When Gabriel walked Simone to her car, he didn't try to kiss her. He just said, "I had a really great time. Can we do this again?" "Yes," Simone said. "I'd like that." Over the next few weeks, Simone and Gabriel fell into an easy pattern. They'd meet for coffee once or twice a week. Sometimes they'd grab dinner. Sometimes they'd just walk around the city talking about nothing and everything. Gabriel never pushed. Never asked why she hadn't invited him to her apartment yet. Never questioned why she needed to take things slow. He just showed up consistently, made her laugh, listen when she talked. One evening in early November, they sat in a park watching the sun set. It was cold, and Gabriel had brought hot chocolate from a nearby cafe. "Can I ask you something?" Gabriel said. "Sure. What happened in your marriage? You don't have to tell me if you don't want to. But I feel like it's this shadow hanging over us, and I want to understand." Simone took a deep breath. She'd been avoiding this conversation, but Gabriel deserved the truth. So she told him. About the anniversary party. About Brandon's affair. About the public humiliation and the financial betrayal. About the divorce that was still dragging through the courts. Gabriel listened without interrupting. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "That took courage," he finally said. "Telling me all that. And even more courage to leave him and rebuild your life. Sometimes I don't feel brave. Sometimes I feel stupid for not seeing it sooner. That's not stupidity. That's trust. You trusted him and he betrayed that trust. That's on him, not you." Simone felt tears prick her eyes. "Thank you for saying that. It's the truth." Gabriel reached over and took her hand. It was the first time he'd really touched her, and his hand was warm and steady. "You deserve so much better than what he gave you." They sat like that for a while, holding hands and watching the sky turn dark. When Gabriel finally drove her home, he walked her to her door. "I'm not him," Gabriel said softly. "I want you to know that. I'm not going to hurt you or take advantage of you or make you feel small. I like you, Simone. A lot. But we move at your pace, okay?" "Okay," Simone whispered. This time Gabriel did kiss her. It was gentle and brief, just a soft press of lips that made Simone's heart race. "Good night," he said and left before she could respond. Simone went inside and leaned against her door, touching her lips and smiling like a teenager. At work, things continued to improve. The campaign she'd launched was exceeding expectations, bringing in new clients and renewing old contracts. Patricia kept praising her work in meetings. Simone felt respected and valued in a way she never had at home. The divorce proceedings were moving forward. Teresa had filed motion after motion, countering every ridiculous demand Brandon's lawyer made. The court date was set for mid-December, just over a month away. "He's going to lose everything," Teresa said during their latest phone call. "I've got the credit card statements, the affair evidence, the financial records. The judge is going to see exactly who Brandon is. I just want it over," Simone said. "Soon. I promise." Simone got a text from Brandon's mother that weekend. They'd stayed in touch occasionally, brief messages about how Simone was doing. This message was longer. "Brandon came by the house yesterday. He looks terrible, Simone. He's lost so much weight. He says he made the biggest mistake of his life. He wants to talk to you, apologize properly. Would you consider meeting with him? Just once? I know he doesn't deserve it, but he's still my son." Simone stared at the message for a long time. Part of her, the kind part, the part that had loved Brandon once, wanted to say yes. Wanted to give him closure or forgiveness or whatever he was looking for. But the stronger part of her, the part that had been hurt and humiliated and betrayed, said no. She texted back, "I'm sorry, but no. Brandon made his choices. He has to live with them. I've moved on and I need him to do the same." Mrs. Turner responded with a sad face emoji and, "I understand. Take care of yourself, sweetheart." That evening, Simone had dinner with Gabriel at his apartment, the first time she'd been there. It was a converted loft with high ceilings and huge windows, decorated with art and architectural models. It was creative and organized all at once, just like Gabriel. He cooked dinner, pasta with homemade sauce, while Simone sat at the kitchen counter and told him about her day. It felt domestic and comfortable, like they'd been doing this for years instead of weeks. "How's the divorce going?" Gabriel asked, stirring the sauce. "Court date is next month. My lawyer says it's almost over. And then what? Then I'm officially free. Then I can really move forward." She paused. "With everything." Gabriel looked at her, understanding in his eyes. "Take your time. I'm not going anywhere." After dinner, they sat on his couch and watched a movie. Halfway through, Simone found herself leaning against Gabriel's shoulder. He wrapped an arm around her and it felt right. "Say, is this okay?" Gabriel asked softly. "This is perfect," Simone said. She left around midnight and Gabriel walked her to her car like he always did. "Next week, there's this restaurant opening," Gabriel said. "Friend of mine is the head chef. Would you want to come with me? Fair warning, it'll probably be full of architect and foodie types talking about sustainable design and locally sourced ingredients." Simone laughed. "That actually sounds fun." Yeah, I'm in." Gabriel kissed her again, longer this time, and Simone felt that spark of attraction grow into something bigger. Something real. Driving home, she thought about how much her life had changed in 2 months. She'd gone from devastated and betrayed to strong and happy. She'd taken control of her finances, her career, her future. And now there was Gabriel. Kind, patient Gabriel who made her laugh and didn't try to change her. She wasn't ready to call it love yet. But it was something. Something good. Something worth exploring. Her phone buzzed at a red light. A text from an unknown number. "I know you're seeing someone new. Tiffany saw you with him last week. You didn't waste any time, did you? I guess you never really loved me. Brandon." Still trying to make her feel guilty. Still trying to make his choices her fault. Simone deleted the message without responding and blocked the number. She was done letting Brandon Turner affect her happiness. She had a court date in a month. After that, she'd be officially divorced. Free to move forward completely. And she couldn't wait. The week before Thanksgiving, Simone's life felt fuller than it had in years. She spent her days managing her team at work, her evenings either with Nicole or Gabriel, her quiet moments reading and rediscovering hobbies she'd abandoned during her marriage. Gabriel had become a constant presence. They texted throughout the day, nothing heavy, just small observations and jokes. He'd send photos of interesting buildings he saw. She'd send him funny marketing fails. It was easy and natural. They spent Thanksgiving together, actually. Gabriel invited her to his family's dinner, but Simone wasn't quite ready for that step. Instead, they volunteered at a community center, serving meals to people who had nowhere else to go. It felt meaningful, spending the day helping others instead of pretending everything was fine at a table full of people. "This was nice," Simone said as they cleaned up afterward. "Thank you for suggesting it." Thank you for coming with me. I do this every year. My family understands. That evening they had a quiet dinner at Gabriel's apartment. Just turkey sandwiches and wine, nothing fancy. They talked about what they were grateful for. I'm grateful for second chances, Gabriel said. For meeting someone who makes me want to be better. Simone felt her cheeks warm. I'm grateful for new beginnings. For learning that I'm stronger than I thought I was. They kissed on his couch and it deepened into something more passionate than before. Simone pulled back, breathless. I'm not ready, she said quietly. Not yet. I'm sorry. Don't apologize, Gabriel said, cupping her face gently. We move at your speed. I mean that. You're too good to be true, Simone whispered. I'm just a regular person who thinks you're amazing. That's all. Meanwhile, Brandon's life continued its downward spiral. Simone heard through the grapevine that he'd been fired from his retail job for showing up late too many times. He'd moved to an even cheaper apartment. His social media, which Simone didn't look at directly but Nicole monitored, showed someone spiraling. Angry posts, bitter memes, complaints about how unfair life was. Simone felt nothing. No satisfaction, no pity. Brandon was a stranger now. The court date was December 15th. Teresa called 2 weeks before with an update. Brandon's lawyer wants to settle. He knows they're going to lose in court, so he's trying to negotiate. What are they offering? Brandon will agree to the divorce, no spousal support, if you give him $20,000 and let him keep some of the furniture from the house. Simone laughed. Actually laughed. He wants me to pay him? It's absurd. I told Peterson that we'd see them in court. But I wanted you to know the offer was made. Definitely no. I'm not giving him a cent. That's what I thought you'd say. See you in court. 1 week before the court date, Simone got a surprise at work. Patricia called her into the office with 2 executives from corporate headquarters. Simone, we've been reviewing your performance over the past year, Patricia began. Your leadership on the recent campaign was exceptional. The client has renewed their contract for 3 more years, and they specifically requested you as the lead. Thank you, Simone said, unsure where this was going. We'd like to offer you a new position, one of the executives said. Vice President of Marketing. It's a promotion to the executive team. Significant raise, better benefits, company car. Simone's mouth fell open. Vice President? You've earned it. What do you say? I say yes. Absolutely yes. They shook hands, discussed start dates and salary numbers that made Simone's head spin. When she left the office, she felt like she was floating. She called Gabriel immediately. I got promoted. Vice President. That's amazing. We have to celebrate. Dinner tonight? Definitely. They went to the nicest restaurant in the city. Gabriel ordered champagne, and they toasted to Simone's success. You did this, Gabriel said. All on your own. You should be so proud. I am, Simone said. And she meant it. This promotion had nothing to do with anyone but her. Her work. Her dedication. Her skill. Can I tell you something? Gabriel said, reaching across the table for her hand. Of course. I'm falling for you. I know it's fast and I know you're still dealing with a divorce, but I needed you to know. You're incredible, Simone. Watching you rebuild your life, watching you succeed, watching you be strong, it's inspiring. You're inspiring. Simone felt tears well up, but they were good tears. Happy tears. I'm falling for you too, she admitted. It scares me a little. But in a good way. We'll take it slow. As slow as you need. That night, Gabriel walked Simone to her door like always. But this time, when he kissed her goodnight, she didn't want him to leave. Stay, she said softly. Are you sure? I'm sure. They went inside together, and for the first time in months, Simone felt truly safe with someone. Gabriel was patient and gentle, asking if everything was okay, making sure she felt comfortable. It wasn't just physical, it was emotional connection, trust, care. Afterward, they lay in Simone's bed talking in the dark. Thank you, Simone said. For what? For being you. For being patient. For not pushing. You're worth the wait, Gabriel said simply and pulled her closer. The night before court, Simone couldn't sleep. She lay in bed thinking about everything that had happened since that terrible anniversary party. It felt like a lifetime ago. She'd been a different person then, smaller, quieter, less sure of herself. Now she was a vice president. She lived alone in an apartment she loved. She had money in savings. She had friends who supported her. And she had Gabriel, who treated her like she was precious. Tomorrow she'd face Brandon in court. Tomorrow the divorce would be finalized. Tomorrow she'd officially close that chapter of her life. She wasn't scared. She was ready. At 7 in the morning, her phone rang. Teresa. Big news. Brandon's lawyer just called. They want to settle. Brandon will agree to everything. No spousal support, no split of assets. He'll take full responsibility for the credit card debt. He just wants it over. Why the sudden change? My guess? He realized he's going to get destroyed in court. The judge will see all the evidence. It'll be public record. He'll look even worse than he already does. So he just wants to disappear? Basically. What do you think? Simone thought about it. Part of her wanted her day in court. Wanted to watch Brandon squirm. Wanted everyone to know the truth. But a bigger part of her just wanted to move on. Let's settle, she said. I don't need to see him. I don't need the drama. I just need to be done. I'll draw up the papers. You can come by this afternoon to sign. The divorce will be final within a week. Simone hung up and sat in bed for a moment. It was really over. After 10 years of marriage, after months of fighting, it was just over. She felt lighter. Free. She called Gabriel. The divorce is settling. It's done. How do you feel? Like I can finally breathe all the way. Like I'm really starting fresh. Good. That's really good, Simone. That afternoon, Simone went to Teresa's office and signed the divorce papers. Her hand didn't shake. Her heart didn't ache. She just signed her name and handed the pen back. Congratulations, Teresa said. You're officially divorced. Thank you for everything. You fought hard for me. You fought for yourself. I just helped. Walking out of the law office, Simone felt the December sun on her face. The city was decorated for Christmas, lights strung between buildings, trees and windows. Everything felt new and bright. She drove to Gabriel's office. He was working on designs for a new community center, blueprints spread across his desk. Hey, he said, looking up with a smile. How'd it go? I'm divorced. Officially free. Gabriel stood and walked around his desk. He pulled Simone into his arms and held her tight. I'm proud of you, he said into her hair. For what? For being brave enough to leave. For standing up for yourself. For not settling for less than you deserve. They stood there for a long moment, just holding each other. Then Simone pulled back and smiled. So what now? She asked. Now we build something new, Gabriel said. Together. At whatever pace feels right. And for the first time in a very long time, Simone's future felt completely her own. January came with snow and new beginnings. Simone settled into her new role as vice president, leading a team of 15 people and managing million-dollar accounts. The work was challenging but satisfying in a way her previous position hadn't been. She had real authority now, real influence. Her relationship with Gabriel deepened naturally. They spent most evenings together, either at her place or his. They cooked dinner, watched movies, talked about their days. Sometimes they'd work side by side, Simone on her laptop reviewing campaigns while Gabriel sketched building designs. One Saturday morning in late January, Gabriel showed up at Simone's apartment with coffee and pastries. Get dressed, he said. I want to show you something. They drove to a neighborhood on the east side of the city, an area that was being revitalized. Gabriel parked in front of an empty lot with a construction fence around it. What are we looking at? Simone asked. My next project. I bought this lot 3 months ago. I'm going to build a mixed-use building, shops on the ground floor, apartments above. Gabriel, that's huge. Why didn't you tell me? I wanted to be sure the financing would work out first. But it's official now. Construction starts next month. He pulled out his tablet and showed her the designs. The building was beautiful, modern but warm, with lots of windows and green space. The apartments were designed for actual living, not just profit. The shops would provide local businesses with affordable retail space. It's your philosophy, Simone said, recognizing it. Spaces where people can live, not just exist. Exactly. This is my dream project, and I wanted to share it with you. Simone felt her chest tighten with emotion. Brandon had never shared his dreams with her. He'd expected her to support them, but he'd never invited her into them. Thank you for showing me, she said. They spent the morning walking the neighborhood, Gabriel pointing out what would go where, talking about his vision. Simone loved watching him get excited about his work. His passion was beautiful. Tell me about your dreams, Gabriel said as they had lunch at a nearby cafe. I know about your job, but what do you really want? What's the big goal? Simone thought about it. I've never really let myself dream that big. I was always so focused on surviving, on keeping everything together. But if you could do anything? I'd want to start my own consulting firm. Help small businesses with their marketing. Give back to the community. She paused. And I'd want to travel. See the places I've only read about. Live a big life. So why don't you? I guess I'm scared. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? Gabriel reached across the table and took her hand. Simone, you're one of the most capable people I've ever met. You rebuilt your entire life in 6 months. You got promoted twice. You escaped a bad marriage and didn't let it destroy you. If you want to start your own business, you'll make it work. You really believe that? Completely. That conversation stayed with Simone for days. She started researching what it would take to start a consulting firm. The licensing, the insurance, the business plan. She wasn't ready to quit her job yet, but maybe someday. At work, things continued going well. Simone's team closed several big deals in January. Patricia told her that corporate was impressed with her leadership. She was exactly where she wanted to be professionally. Meanwhile, life without Brandon continued to improve. The financial mess he'd left behind was slowly being resolved. The credit card companies had agreed to reduce her debt. Her savings account was growing steadily. She'd even started a retirement fund. She heard through Mrs. Turner that Brandon had moved to another state. He'd found a job somewhere and was starting over. His mother didn't share details and Simone didn't ask. That part of her life was closed. One evening in early February, Gabriel cooked dinner at his place. They'd fallen into a comfortable routine, spending weeknights at their own places, weekends together. It worked for both of them. I've been thinking, Gabriel said over pasta, and I need to tell you something. Simone's stomach dropped. That phrase never led to anything good. Okay. I love you, Gabriel said simply. I'm in love with you. I have been for a while now. I know we're taking things slow and I'm fine with that. But I needed you to know how I feel. Simone felt tears prick her eyes. She'd been waiting to hear those words but also dreading them. Because once she said them back, there was no more protection. No more walls. She'd be vulnerable again. But looking at Gabriel, at his honest eyes and open face, she realized she didn't want walls anymore. I love you too, she said. I love how you make me laugh. I love how you support my dreams. I love how patient you've been. I love how you see me, really see me, and value what you see. Gabriel stood and pulled her up from her chair, kissing her deeply. When they broke apart, they were both smiling. Where do we go from here? Simone asked. Forward. Together. Whatever that looks like. They talked late into the night about what they wanted. Neither of them was ready to move in together yet, but they talked about a future where that might happen. They talked about supporting each other's careers. They talked about building a partnership based on equality and respect. I don't want to rush this, Simone said. I need to know I can stand on my own first. I get that. And I love that about you. You're not looking for someone to complete you. You're already complete. You're just looking for someone to share your life with. Exactly. February turned into March, and Simone watched Gabriel break ground on his building project. She attended the ceremony with him, meeting his business partners and investors. They all treated her with respect, asking about her work, including her in conversations. It was different than anything she'd experienced with Brandon. Gabriel's success didn't threaten her, and her success didn't threaten him. They celebrated each other. One Saturday they drove to the beach, just a day trip to clear their heads. They walked along the shore, feet in the cold sand, talking about everything and nothing. I never thought I'd be here, Simone said. 6 months ago I was devastated. I thought my life was over. And now I feel like it's just beginning. Like everything before was just practice for the real thing. That's beautiful, Gabriel said, pulling her close. They stood there watching the waves and Simone felt completely at peace. Not because she was with Gabriel, though that was wonderful, but because she was at peace with herself. She'd survived the worst time of her life and come out stronger. She'd learned that she didn't need someone else to be happy. She was complete on her own. Gabriel was just the wonderful addition to an already good life. Back in the city that evening, Simone got an unexpected text from Jerome, the friend who'd been at the anniversary party. Hey Simone, a bunch of us are getting together next weekend. Would love if you came. We've missed you. Simone hesitated. These were people she'd known during her marriage. Would it be weird? But then she thought about it. These were her friends too. She shouldn't have to hide. She texted back, I'll be there. Can I bring someone? Of course. See you then. The following weekend, Simone and Gabriel went to Jerome's party together. It was the first time she'd seen many of these people since the anniversary disaster. For a moment when they walked in, There was an awkward silence. Then Jerome came over and hugged Simone. "We're so glad you're here. You look happy." "I am happy," Simone said, and realized she meant it completely. The evening was good. People asked about her life, her job, her apartment. They met Gabriel and seemed to genuinely like him. No one mentioned Brandon, though Simone caught sympathetic looks from a few people. She didn't need the sympathy though. She was past that. On the drive home, Gabriel said, "Your friends are nice." "They are. I'm glad I went. I was worried it would be weird, but it wasn't. Because you've moved on. You're not the same person you were at that party." He was right. Simone wasn't the same person. She was stronger, wiser, more confident. She'd faced the worst and survived. And now she was thriving. April brought spring and unexpected trouble. Simone was in her office reviewing a presentation when her assistant knocked on the door, looking uncomfortable. "There's someone here to see you. He says it's important, but he doesn't have an appointment." "Who is it?" "He says his name is Brandon Turner." Simone's stomach dropped. She'd been divorced for 4 months. Why was Brandon here now? "Call security," Simone said. "Tell them to be on standby. Then send him in. I'll handle this." Her assistant nodded and left. A minute later, Brandon walked into her office. He looked different. Thinner, older somehow. His clothes were clean but cheap. His eyes had dark circles under them. He looked like someone who'd been through something difficult. "Simone," he said, standing awkwardly in front of her desk. "Brandon, you have 5 minutes. What do you want?" "I need to talk to you. To apologize. To explain." "There's nothing to explain. You humiliated me, lied to me, stole from me. You made your choices. Now you live with them. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But I need you to understand that I was going through something. I felt trapped and small and like I was failing at everything. So you decided to have an affair and spend my money? I wasn't thinking clearly. Tiffany made me feel important, like I mattered. You were always so successful and put together, and I felt like I could never measure up." Simone stared at him. "So your affair was my fault? Because I had a career?" "No, that's not what I'm saying." "That's exactly what you're saying. You're blaming me for your choices. Again." Brandon ran his hands through his hair. "I'm not here to fight. I'm here to apologize. And to ask for your help." "Help with what?" "I'm struggling, Simone. I can't find a good job. I'm behind on rent. I don't have anyone. My mom won't even talk to me after what I did to you. And you want what exactly? Money? Just enough to get back on my feet. Alone. I'll pay you back." Simone laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "You want me to give you money? After everything you did? I know I don't deserve it. But I'm desperate. I have nowhere else to turn." "That's not my problem, Brandon. You destroyed our marriage. You stole from me. You humiliated me in front of everyone we knew. And now you want me to help you? The answer is no. Please, Simone. I'm begging you. You told me to get out. You said I was boring and fat and that your girlfriend was better than me. You said all of that in front of our friends and family. Did you think about how that would affect me? Did you care? I was drunk. I didn't mean it." "Yes, you did. Drunk words are sober thoughts. You meant every word. You just didn't expect consequences." Brandon's face hardened. "So that's it? You're just going to let me suffer?" "I'm not letting you do anything. You're suffering because of your own choices. I'm not responsible for fixing your life. I never was, but I didn't realize that until you threw me away. I can't believe you're being this cold." "Cold? I worked 60 hours a week to support us while you sat around dreaming up business ideas that never went anywhere. I paid for everything while you complained that I worked too much. I gave you 10 years of my life, and you thanked me by cheating on me and stealing from me. So no, Brandon, I'm not going to help you. I don't owe you anything." "What about Christian charity? Forgiveness?" "Forgiveness doesn't mean I have to light myself on fire to keep you warm. It doesn't mean I have to let you use me again. I forgive you for being a terrible husband. But I don't have to help you." Brandon's expression shifted from pleading to angry. "You've changed. You're not the woman I married. You're right. I'm better. I'm stronger. I'm happier. And I have you to thank for that. Leaving you was the best thing that ever happened to me. I heard you're seeing someone. Is he here? Is he the reason you won't help me?" "There is no reason. I just don't want to. Gabriel has nothing to do with it. This is about me choosing myself for once." "Gabriel? That's his name? What does he do?" "That's none of your business. This conversation is over. You need to leave." "Simone, please." Simone pressed the button on her phone. "Security, please come to my office." Two security guards appeared within seconds. They'd clearly been waiting nearby. "Escort Mr. Turner out of the building," Simone said calmly. "And make sure he's added to the list of people who aren't allowed back." "You can't do this," Brandon said as the guards took his arms. "I absolutely can. This is my workplace. You're not welcome here." As the guards led Brandon toward the door, he turned back. "You're going to regret this. I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of person you really are." "Go ahead," Simone said. Tell them. Tell them I refused to give you money after you cheated on me and stole from me. See how much sympathy you get." Brandon left, still protesting. Simone sat down at her desk and realized her hands were shaking. Not from fear or sadness, but from adrenaline. She'd stood up to him. She'd refused to let him manipulate her. Her phone buzzed. A text from Gabriel. "Lunch today?" She texted back, "Please? I need to tell you something." They met at their usual cafe. Simone told Gabriel everything, how Brandon had showed up, what he'd said, how she'd handled it. "Are you okay?" Gabriel asked, taking her hand. "I'm better than okay. I'm proud of myself. I didn't back down. I didn't give in to guilt." "Good." He had no right to ask you for help after what he did. Part of me felt bad for him. He really does look like he's struggling. That's because you have a good heart. But helping him wouldn't actually help him. It would just enable him to keep being irresponsible. "I know. I just needed to hear someone else say it." That evening, Simone got a call from Mrs. Turner. "Simone, I heard Brandon came to see you today. I'm sorry. I told him to leave you alone." "It's okay. I handled it. He called me after. He's angry. Said you were cruel to him." "I wasn't cruel. I just said no." "I know. And you were right to. I love my son, but he needs to figure his life out on his own. He's been depending on other people his whole life. First me, then you, then Tiffany. It's time he learned to stand on his own. Thank you for understanding. I'm proud of you, Simone. You're doing amazing things with your life. Don't let him drag you down." After hanging up, Simone sat in her apartment feeling at peace. Brandon had tried one last time to worm his way back into her life, and she'd shut the door firmly. She thought about the woman she'd been a year ago. That woman would have given Brandon money. Would have felt guilty for saying no. Would have put his needs above her own. But Simone wasn't that woman anymore. She'd learned to value herself. She'd learned that she couldn't save someone who didn't want to be saved. Gabriel came over that night with takeout and flowers. "You didn't have to bring flowers," Simone said, but she was smiling. "I know. I wanted to. You had a hard day." They ate dinner and watched a movie, Gabriel's arm around Simone's shoulders. It was simple and perfect. "Can I ask you something?" Simone said during a commercial break. "Anything. Do you think I was wrong to refuse to help Brandon?" "No. You don't owe him anything. He made his choices. But what if he really can't get back on his feet? What if he ends up homeless or something? That's on him. You can't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. You taught me that phrase." Simone smiled. "You're right. I just needed to hear it again. You're the most compassionate person I know. But compassion doesn't mean being a doormat. You can wish him well without rescuing him." That night, lying in bed next to Gabriel, Simone felt the last piece of guilt fall away. She'd done the right thing. Brandon was an adult. He would figure it out or he wouldn't, but either way, it wasn't her responsibility. She'd spent 10 years carrying his weight. Now she was free to walk her own path. And she was never looking back. July brought summer heat and a sense of completion. Simone stood in her office, her corner office with windows on two sides, and looked out at the city. 1 year ago, she'd been preparing for an anniversary party that would change her life forever. Now everything was different. Her desk phone buzzed. "Miss Turner, you have a visitor. Says her name is Nicole. Send her up." Nicole appeared a few minutes later carrying a box with a bow on top. "Happy New Life Day." "What?" "It's been exactly 1 year since the party. I'm calling it your New Life Day. The day you started over." Simone laughed and opened the box. Inside was a beautiful journal with future plans, embossed on the cover. "I love it. Thank you." They went to lunch, just the two of them, and reminisced about the past year. "You know what I'm most proud of?" Nicole said. "Not that you left him or rebuilt your life or got promoted. I'm proud that you didn't become bitter. You could have let what Brandon did make you angry and closed off. But you didn't. I won't lie, I was angry for a while. But holding on to that anger was only hurting me. Brandon isn't worth my energy. And Gabriel?" Simone smiled. "Gabriel is wonderful. We're talking about moving in together next spring. Not rushing it but starting to plan. I'm so happy for you. That evening, Gabriel picked Simone up from work. They drove to his construction site. The mixed-use building was nearly finished now, looking exactly like his designs. Want to see your surprise? Gabriel asked, leading her inside. They took the elevator to the top floor. Gabriel unlocked one of the apartments and led her inside. It was beautiful, open concept with huge windows, modern appliances, exposed brick on one wall. This is amazing, Simone said. It's yours. If you want it. What do you mean? I designed this unit thinking about you. About us. About what we'd want in a home together. Gabriel took her hand. I know we said spring, but this building will be ready for occupancy in October. What if we started our life together here? In a place we both built, you with your career, me with my design. Our own foundation. Simone looked around the apartment. It was perfect. Light and bright with enough space to grow. Are you sure? She asked. I've never been more sure of anything. I love you, Simone. I want to build a life with you. A real partnership. Not like what you had before. Something equal and honest and real. I love you too. Yes. Let's do it. Gabriel kissed her, and Simone felt her heart swell with happiness. This was what love should feel like. Safe but exciting. Comfortable but passionate. Equal. They spent the evening talking about furniture and paint colors and all the tiny details of building a home together. It felt right in a way nothing with Brandon ever had. Later that week, Simone had coffee with Mrs. Turner, their first face-to-face meeting since the divorce. You look wonderful, Mrs. Turner said. Truly happy. I am. I really am. I wanted to tell you, Brandon got a job. A real one. He's working as a manager at a tech company in Austin. He seems to be doing better. That's good. I'm glad he's figuring things out. You don't have to be glad. Not after what he did. I'm not glad for his sake. I'm glad because it means he's really moving on. I don't have to worry about him showing up again. Mrs. Turner reached across the table and took Simone's hand. You were the best thing that ever happened to my son. He was too stupid to see it. But I'm glad you found someone who does see it. Gabriel is good to me. He makes me better. That's what love should do. They talked for another hour, and when they parted ways, Simone felt closure. Brandon's mother was a good woman. She'd been caught in the middle of her son's mess, but she'd never blamed Simone for protecting herself. In August, Simone did something she'd been thinking about for months. She registered her consulting business. She wasn't leaving her corporate job yet, but she started taking on small clients on weekends. Local businesses who needed marketing help but couldn't afford big agencies. It was fulfilling in a way her corporate work wasn't. She was directly helping people build their dreams. Gabriel supported her completely, helping her set up a home office in the apartment they'd soon share. He never complained about her working weekends. He just brought her coffee and asked how he could help. One September evening, they were having dinner with Gabriel's parents. Simone had met them several times now and gotten along wonderfully with them. So when are you two getting married? Gabriel's mother asked with a smile. Mom, Gabriel said, embarrassed. But Simone laughed. We're taking it slow. We're moving in together in October. Marriage can wait. I like that you're not rushing, Gabriel's father said. Too many people rush into marriage without really knowing each other. Later in the car, Gabriel said, Sorry about my mom. Don't be. It was sweet. Simone paused. Would you want to get married someday? With you? Absolutely. But not because we're supposed to. Only if and when it feels right for both of us. That sounds perfect. They moved into their apartment on October 1st. Friends helped carry boxes up the elevator. Nicole, Jerome, some of Gabriel's architect friends, Simone's co-workers. They ordered pizza for everyone and laughed as they tried to figure out where everything should go. That night, after everyone had left, Simone and Gabriel stood in their living room surrounded by half-unpacked boxes. We did it, Gabriel said, pulling her close. We did. Simone looked around at their home, their shared space that represented their shared future. This is really happening. Are you happy? I'm happier than I ever thought possible. They spent that first night in their new home talking about dreams and plans. Gabriel's building was a success. All the retail spaces were rented, and the apartments were filling up fast. He had 2 more projects lined up. Simone's consulting business was growing. She had 5 regular clients now and a waiting list of others. She was thinking about going full-time next year, taking the leap into entrepreneurship. What's the worst that could happen? Gabriel asked. I could fail. I could lose money. I could have to go back to corporate work. And what's the best that could happen? I could build something amazing. I could help dozens of businesses succeed. I could be my own boss. Then do it. I believe in you. In November, Simone got an unexpected email. It was from Tiffany. Hi Simone. I know this is weird, but I wanted to apologize. I was wrong to get involved with a married man. I was selfish and thoughtless. I know you probably hate me and you have every right to. I just needed to say I'm sorry. I hope you're doing well. Simone read the email twice. Part of her wanted to ignore it. Part of her wanted to write back something angry. Instead, she replied, I appreciate the apology. I don't hate you. I'm moving forward with my life. I hope you are too. Then she deleted the email chain and didn't think about it again. Tiffany was part of her past, and Simone was focused on her future. December brought the anniversary of the divorce being finalized. 1 full year of being single, then building something new with Gabriel. They celebrated by taking a trip, their first real vacation together. They flew to Italy and spent a week exploring Rome, Florence, and Venice. They ate amazing food, saw incredible art, and talked about everything and nothing. On their last night, sitting at a cafe in Venice, Gabriel said, I have something to tell you. Okay. I don't have a ring yet and I'm not officially proposing. But I want you to know that I plan to marry you someday. When we're both ready. When it feels right. I want you to know that you're it for me. You're my future. Simone felt tears well up. You're my future too. And yes, someday. When we're ready. They held hands across the table and watched the sun set over the canal, and Simone felt completely at peace. Flying home, she thought about the journey she'd taken. From devastated and humiliated to strong and happy. From financially struggling to financially stable. From working for someone else to building her own business. From a toxic marriage to a healthy partnership. She'd done it. She'd rebuilt her life from the ground up. And she'd done it on her own terms. The plane landed in their city and Gabriel squeezed her hand. Ready to go home? Ready, Simone said. Home. They're home. The life they were building together, brick by brick, decision by decision. It wasn't the life she'd planned when she married Brandon 10 years ago. It was better. So much better. Because this life was hers. She'd chosen it. She'd built it. She'd earned it.